Imaginary radio station. Care of Visualisation and Reims, France.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not locked down. Yeah, you're not locked. All right, perfect. We can go. Mic headphones on.
I think I have to change my top.
Oh, go for it. You can do whatever you want.
Because
you don't have.
when my hair goes like that, then it's like
a problem.
Which is, yeah, that's right.
It's fine for us.
And then when I feel better.
Yeah, there you go. That's a code. Let's see. There's a bunch of
Imaginary radio station.
Let's see.
Testicles 1 2, testicles 1 2.
Reims, France.
Hey.
Kidding, just kidding.
Wow, I've been not talking for years, so I'm really scared about what's going to come out.
That's why I'm here to listen. I'm here to listen. I let
You
my
can
views.
kick me under the table.
I'd like this.
Well, nothing's coming out that we don't want. This is
Okay,
like
that's good.
this is our.
It's not live stream.
No, and this is our airway. This is just friends linking up after the pandemic, just like checking in on each other.
That's good.
And we're all creative, so the conversation is good, I think. Just to get a litmus test on how we feel about the world.
Yeah, indeed. Actually, I've been really desperate to have a conversation with Kanye.
We could do that. We can.
FaceTime him and put him on there
Yeah.
and start the podcast.
Like who, like music-wise or inspiration or personality-wise, like on your top 3 list of people that you'd like to connect and build with.
Number 1, Kanye.
Kanye. Why?
It's
Just-
Kanye. It's
we
Kanye, but I really, I'm really into like whatever phase Kanye goes through. And yeah, I think we have a lot of similar experiences.
Yeah.
But I don't express it the way he expresses it, kind of thing.
Yeah. You guys, do you remember originally meeting with Ye in London?
Yeah.
That's where
we all met. Yeah.
Cross paths, and that was such like a crazy time, and like creatives trying to like gather resources to express ourselves. And it seems like we're still all in that same space, like tuning our voice for public consumption or whatever.
Yeah, I think I met Kanye even before that at like a Jeremy Scott fashion.
Yeah, that era, that New York era.
Yeah, 2005 or something. But yeah, Kanye's really been through it. But even like on a spiritual level, I feel like he's really misunderstood.
Yeah.
And it'd be really interesting to talk to him.
Yeah. It's, like such a crazy thing. We're all put on this earth and we're creative. We do something that people like. And then all of a sudden, yeah, you're over there.
Okay, I'm over here.
Do you hear all the background noise? Do you hear background?
Yeah, but the mic's strong enough to hear
Gotcha.
what we're saying, yeah.
Not to that effect. It's like we're all just creative people. We do something that resonates, and then like a whole other responsibility comes after that.
Yes. So creative energy, this is what my friends, because I was like, damn, I haven't done an interview for a long time. Kind of scared about what I'm going to say, and then everyone's like, just stick to talking about creative energy, it's fine. So in terms of, the creative energy, it's an interesting thing to explore during lockdown, in terms of like what's important and what people need to know, because those things are constantly, like right now, the language is totally changed, and so we just got to I don't know, everyone's had time out to think about stuff, reflect, and in terms of, I feel like I can see more clearly, like what I am,
That's powerful. That's
yeah.
powerful. Creative energy, such like a a great lens to look at, like, how do you put forth like a point of view in today's society. Like, did 2020, like, what did 2020, the year, do to your, like, vision?
It's a big question. Well, you know, before 2020 hit, I already sort of took myself out of everything for a couple of years. So I had time to just, I was already doing lockdown by myself.
Yeah.
Before it was like a compulsory thing. So, so I had already kind of looked into the fact that our planet is going crazy. It's fucked up. We need to save it. So I think 2016 or 15 when I put my last album out, I think it was 2016, and everyone's like, whoa, the world is turning into like an M.I.A. world where everyone's just super angry and complaining about everything. You know? And where is M.I.A.'s new record? But then at that point, I was already like, shit, the climate is changing and people are going to, have like no food, or we need to look at farming and how you grow your own food and this sort of stuff. And then Kanye did it. He bought a farm, which is like really amazing.
Yeah.
So I was already looking at stuff like that, like how to get back into nature. And so I spent like a year in, Asia, just like wandering around with my kid. I already took him out of school.
Yeah.
And the school's like, we're going to call the cops, like bring him back. But I'd already sort of like got over the whole education system and stuff, So when COVID came and all of these structures were turned upside down.
Yeah.
And people started questioning all these things, I'd already done it, so it wasn't shocking,
Yeah.
But creativity-wise, yeah, you just sort of, it made me feel like, do I need to express my opinion? Like, do people need to hear it? Because it's a time for everyone to hear themselves,
Yeah.
And so it was kind of nice to stay quiet.
Through that period.
And yeah, the silence is the power almost. Yeah.
Mafuz, creative energy. What triggers you?
This. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I can't hear you. Oh, there you go. Okay.
There it is.
Yeah.
I really think when I think about your practice, I think a lot about sort of the stuff that gets left on the cutting room floor, because I've always been curious about how much of the research and the writing and the sort of work that you do ends up in the stuff that we all see, that we all.
What, visually?
Visually, yeah.
Everything I shoot goes in. I'm not
Wow.
like Kanye, where like I have loads of money to spare, so it's already like on a shoestring. It's like, we need this one thing, and it's like, so it. And even the songs is like that. Like, some artists write 300 songs and choose the best 10. I only write 10, and that's what comes out. Like, and people say it's because I'm lazy, but it's not.
That's interesting. Explain that process. What do you mean you only write 10? Like,
Yeah, like each album, like everything gets used because it's the refugee
Right.
mentality. It's like you don't waste anything.
sick.
And it's like this is also the COVID thing of being resourceful and using what you have and reusing the bottles and reusing the thing to build a house and I've always grown up like that. So when I work, it's exactly the same. It's like repurpose your wardrobe, repurpose the songs. So there might be like this is like an inside thing where I wrote Bad Girls in 2006 and then repurposed it on another album 4 albums later kind of thing, because everything gets used.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's just
so every
What it is.
material you had or have, it will come out at some point.
yes.
Sick.
Yeah, nothing gets thrown. It would just get made into a different thing.
Where does the visual aspect of your practice come into play? Like, how you, from your brain, from your inspiration, what filters does it visualize itself? Because you have such a unique and signature expression.
I'm having a hard time with this one though, saying that. But usually I don't think about it so much, and I just like go, 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 and that's really, like you said, the creative energy thing. And if you're on a certain wavelength, you attract people on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
So the right people end up around you at the right time, and then everyone's sort of thinking the same sort of things, and things just happen, you know, so you don't overthink, because it's a lot of people's energy and contribution and connection that creates something in that moment. And it's like if you're on like a universal kind of wavelength, and loads of people are connected into that, then whatever you do in that moment is perfect.
Bingo.
You
And
know?
that's why when we were just walking up the steps, and I hear this all the time, she was like, I can't believe I kind of said yes to doing this.
I can't, but I really needed to do it though.
And that's like my sole purpose for existing. Like, I've whittled it down to just like being the prod that gets my super talented friends.
Yeah, that was a bit of a prod. I felt it. I was like, what's he doing?
No, we were like,
what?
because it's like, this is a full circle sentiment. Because when I brought you upstairs, it's like you were saying things about like real thought put into pop culture, almost polarizing. Obviously, if it's real, there's something we're bringing up with it. And me and my crew, the people that you're sitting around with, we're like, I just tasked ourselves with like telling real stories in like a little pill analogy, you know, like sugar-coated pill. Like, yeah, it's Fashion Week. Yeah, we need music. Like, let's go. Who in our Rolodex is authentic? And usually, I joke with Mafuz, 9 times out of 10, those are the no types, and they're hermits too, which you checked.
I definitely am. M.I.A. That's my name.
It's my name.
It's my name. So sometimes, you know, I feel like it's my right to go missing. But I feel like what you're going through and trying to explore, or what Kanye is going through and trying to explore, it's like we're all kind of going through it. And it is a lot of things. It's like whether it's political, you know, and it's like in terms of societal, earthly shit, you know.
Yeah.
And then there's the spiritual, and then there's like the ancient, and there's so many like levels to this, and it's very hard to navigate actually and find the right thing that fits everyone. You know? But really all you have to do is just find the truth, because the truth is the truth, and it would just fit. You know? So you have to give it time to be like, you know, it will show itself, kind of thing. Yeah.
Skinny.
No, it's the truth. Yeah, everything she's saying is the truth. I can't even fault that. I felt like everyone during COVID had time to slow down and really understand what it is that they want for their life, and what it is they want for the future. And most of that is finding the truth. The real, like, what is it that I actually fucking want? What is it that I actually want to do, and what needs to change? So that sentiment is, well, for me, the truth. I found the truth. What I need to do. Not that I'm going to tell everybody here, but...
Yeah, it's such a global kind of...
It's also personal to you.
Yes.
And then sometimes we're in sync in terms of if we share stories, like, yeah, actually, I felt that too, and I felt that too. But really, it's personal to you. And then sometimes when you see it in sync, it flows, and you just see it move together, and you just understand it. There's no talking about it. It's just kind of, you just see it how it is, and this is what it is, and this is how we're moving.
What are you thinking, Virgil?
No, I just like, I was like lost in your words, because it's like there's a personal mission that we're all on, and then we make these little crews that things start to sort of make sense, and then we sort of like float off, and you go on your little personal mission and come back. Like,
personal and then in sync.
Yeah.
Personal and then in sync.
Are you guys optimists? Do you guys, or are you pessimists? Mafuz, go.
I'm pretty optimistic right now. I mean, I feel like even what we're doing right now is kind of full circle. I mean, I think over last year, I found myself thinking a lot about travel, partially just because I'm Ethiopian and I'm not really from anywhere. And it's, you know, it's like refugee culture. Everybody in my family is sort of sprayed all over the world, you know? Yeah, like literally, right? And we all sort of grew up moving around a lot. And so I feel like this studio, for lack of a better word, reproduces that kind of like diasporic kind of thing. And so definitely your work is something that recurs in our conversations a lot, just about like work that makes the world feel big, and makes us feel less sort of siloed, right, in terms of like the types of stories that we tell. Like there's definitely like a very kind of American-centered narrative making that is a part of like music and is a part of art, and like I felt like at a certain point the world got really big in your work. And so anyways, this is like an example of me feeling hella like optimistic. But if you asked me a month ago, I'd have been like, everything's fucked.
It still is fucked, though.
Yeah.
It still is. We're just trying to figure out if the fucked upness is consistent like every 2,000 years. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm trying to. If that is like some sort of cycle, then we've all been through this before, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, well, you can't really avoid it. Like even if you take it in a spiritual sense, and there is the concept of the world, you know, ending, and you know, it just ended the way we knew it, kind of thing. And there's the new world, and if there's like the second coming of Christ or whatever, like what is that? Like, and maybe it's already happened, or maybe the world ended in 2012 and we didn't know it, or whatever, you know. And it's kind of like those kind of things, even the climate and everything getting hot. Because my dad always told me, like, every 2,000 something years, it always happens, you know. And if you look at spiritual textbooks from any culture, any area of the world, they always have this epic story of like, then the wave comes and the cities get, you know, disappeared or whatever. And those are in every, you know, mythological text. So it's not new, you know. So even if it's like humans, like even yesterday, the Gulf of Mexico is on fire. Do you see that crazy shit? It looks
mad.
It looks so crazy. And you're like, wow, you know, humans did that. But then 2,000 years ago, that sort of like destruction was probably happened, you know? So then the earth heats up and creates this sort of thing, or we have technology, or we have modernization that leads to this sort of like repercussions, and all those kind of things are constantly like that, you know, and that if there is change now, then 2,000 years later there'll be another one. And that we all just collectively feel it. So going back to like what you were saying about everyone feeling really like it's the world and global and connection, but at the same time it's like time to spend on yourself and like self-reflect and think about that extreme is crazy, but that's what we're having to do, to be like, think about the world is going to explode in 10 years and it's like, think about yourself. And it's such a like micro macro like
yin yang's back and forth.
Do
you think what do you think the internet has played, because I've just as one theory, like when we got these objects in our hands that made us like feel.
Start me on the internet.
We're gonna swerve there because we're talking about your practice, but we're also just talking about what the mood is of like that tool, that aesthetic, that thing. Like, how has the internet positive or negatively affected our humanity?
It's yin and yang.
Yeah, it's yin yang.
Yang. We have this.
You have this top on right now. Like it's like checkered like that. You know, it's like there's amazing shit that happened, and then there's also really fucked up shit. And it's like,
You can't really avoid it.
Yeah.
And it sucks. We try to do our best, ethically, safely, but you can't really. It's yin and yang. We can't really. One can't exist without the other.
I got a question. This is for everyone's got to answer it.
Shit.
If you had we're gonna go round table. If you had a magic wand to solve anything in the world, what would you do? And you have to answer the question in under 30 seconds.
Shit.
Wow, that's a lot.
Start with who's first.
Yeah, you go first.
You have 30 seconds. The time starts now.
I want to say something really serious and weighty, but anyone that knows me knows that like that wouldn't be honest. And so,
No, it can be like, you want a new Neptune's album or something.
yeah, like probably like just like really bad taste, just like really, really bad, criminally bad, sort of old, inherited Anglo-American, oppressive.
Yeah.
Taste. Yeah.
Just wipe it away.
Just. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Taste. It's weird because everyone's like, oh, Corona is about losing your taste.
Yeah.
I kind of want that on a t-shirt. Like, I lost my smell, but I still got taste.
That's your merch for the new album. We'll mock it up. But
It's
good thing
weird
is
that
done.
it's like specifically attacks your taste. Could have been the answer that you wanted.
Could have been.
It's already, yeah. I don't know what I'd do to change the world. with
Like
a
if you had the
wand.
power, like what would you like tap, and then all of a sudden humanity would like not put that like generative chip that keeps us.
See, I was going to say something very like, like we'll like distribute wealth or something like that, but then that still makes money a thing. So you have to kind of maybe go beyond that, and
Because the only reason I ask this question is we're all producers. Like we're living, we'll be on Earth, we can influence people just by existing. Like in you is to make music, in you is to curate, in you is to curate, in me is to curate. But have we, because we all have these conversations too, which you can kind of just talk. And I just wonder what the North Star is. Like if we actually know, verbalize what the tangible molecular thing is that we want to see the world right itself. Like, what is it?
well, this. Because it is like the yin and yang, and the energy kind of goes like that.
Yeah.
If you get rid of the other thing, then you won't have the other thing. So how do you? But
So the struggle. This is getting heavy, because we're getting somewhere.
Heavy.
We're getting somewhere with if the yin and yang. It's like we don't, as humans, we don't want. It's kind of like the in-between of the polar opposites is probably the best, most optimistic, realistic path for existence. So, because when I used to say that I'm an optimist just because it's easier to wake up, but maybe being half optimist and half pessimistic is...
normal in this fucked up world.
There you go.
Yeah. Not everything is great, So obviously sometimes you're going to wake up with a certain energy. It depends. It's very difficult to be pure. And if you're looking for what is the tangible purity pill, it's difficult, because even if you come to express God,
Yeah.
and everyone's got a different idea of it. And like a few weeks ago, I discovered that I was looking for something, and there was a village in Africa, in South Africa, called the Kormadi Mountain and Kormadi Hill, and then they've got Kormadi River, and there's a whole thing around this word Kormadi. And so I was looking at that, and so it's a Tamil word, and so they had this, like thousands of years ago, they had like seafarers that sailed there, and Tamils mined gold in South Africa and minted their gold coins.
Yeah.
And this is before colonization and, the Europeans arriving in Africa.
Yeah.
And there was another documentary on YouTube where they talk about Mandurum, which is a mountain, I think, in Cameroon, and this tribe in Cameroon speaks Tamil. And yeah, so linguistically, there's a lot of connections. So I was just studying linguistics because I like words. And so when I got into that, Harvard had done this study in the 70s, which is the thing that I found where they connected this South African community with the Tamils. And it was written in the 70s, and when I read it, they said that the Tamil had this concept of God, and our word for God is Kadavul, right? And so they bought this concept called Kadavul and talked about it in terms of astronomy and the fifth dimensional concept. So sometimes you think of God as a day-to-day thing, like the god of coffee is giving me the best coffee, and the god of water, the god of rain. But you never had a concept that God is everything, and God's in the table, and God's in the microphone, and God's in the particles all around you, and the connection, and that we can have a psychic connection or with God that we can't see. And often if you do mushrooms, don't do this at home, kids, but you can see that connection. And so then I was thinking about the word Kadavul, and so that to me is the biggest word, but then when you look at the word Kadavul, the word devil is the concept of Kadavul but flipped.
Oh, it's the invert, it's the yin yang.
Yeah. And so the word had been taken and then inverted to mean something else. And then the concept of darkness is presented as God, because Kadavul was hey, you have access to the universe and you're connected, and each being is super powerful, and you can access that, And then the word devil, which derived from the same sound, is it's a pagan concept. And all of the sort of indigenous communities have their spirituality turned into something that represents paganism, like Hinduism is sort of considered that, or a lot of African religions, and a lot of whatever it is, and so it's kind of really confusing to, even on that level, I'm conceptually, what is light and dark, or what's evil and good, or and it's very hard to then put that into creativity, because it's very hard to pin down the truth, because we've had so much of this information all over the place, coming from all different angles and for all different agendas,
Yeah, it's good to. I'm glad the conversation ramped. It's I know, but no, there's no way that we were gonna have a conversation about practical things, because I'm just glad that I've been in a cusp of pop culture that's talking about spirituality. Because what I hate is that we just talk about sensational. Usually there's this sensation. Is this a cool song? Is that a cool shirt? Is that a cool? But in order to sort of operate, you kind of ignore the roots of where cool come, why, what does it emotionally do to human beings? We're spiritual. I don't hear enough pop culture spiritual talk. Just open.
Well, Kanye did Jesus is King, and did that, and everyone's can you make spirituality cool? Can you do it? Can you put a price on it? Can you sell it? Can you do a concert with gospel music or whatever? And people did question that, is it real, or is he just doing it?
Yeah.
And I think that this is all that. What he did is something that was actually a really important, thing in the conversation, and I think that he did it, the fact that he did it before the pandemic as well, it gave people another thing to think about, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it was kind of, and that it was built in, like collective experiences, like people were equal, everybody was dressed the same, and then they were out in nature, like all of those elements I think were important to introduce into pop culture before we shut down.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm like into
Okay, now
that
I got the
shit.
segue. Like your album, like do you have visions on it? Obviously, like what, like visually, what's compelling you
Right
at the
now.
moment? Yeah, like when you're like, okay, I got the music's done, we're gonna inch towards delivering it to the public. Like what pictures do you want
You're
to paint?
basically picking my brain.
Well, no, 'cause I'm not even picking your brain. Like we're down to work on it too. Like this will turn into.
Help me,
No,
yeah.
we're so
Well, this is
down.
the
Like
thing,
that's why
'cause
we link.
Pharrell's got a song on my album, and he's like, "Sis, you need to like, you know, show a spaceship that goes into space," and I'm like,
You're like the Earth
And
has
then-
things that I want to fix.
Who
"Yeah,
said that?
Pharrell,
Oh, okay.
obviously."
Yeah.
And you know, and then you could go back in time and time travel and show how these cultures were connected and stuff. And that actually is something I would love to like.
Yeah, paint the picture.
Love to paint the picture of, you know, yeah, it'd be amazing to get in a time traveling machine with Travis Scott and go back 4,000 years and see where you end up. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. He doesn't know. But
Well, like it's funny
don't
you
know.
brought that up.
You know?
When we were writing the film for Amen Break, Lupe was you know, because everyone's mindful about different cultures and like how you highlight them, and he was like, have no fear about like discussing like black and in Japanese, like how black people relate to Japanese culture. He's like, I'm going to show you this video. Like martial arts isn't just relegated to one part of the world, like the linguistics of the word. He's basically like, I'll show you Ethiopian battle style of fighting that predates what people know as Japanese by 1,000 years. Kendo versus, you know.
Kendo-based stick fighting.
And so, like, to your point, and I think you've mentioned this a few times, it's like the ancient, like, whatever view
Yeah,
time you.
Ethiopians and Tamils are really connected as well. Like, and originally, like, the way I understand it, you know, and these are the conversations that need to happen. And
Yeah.
there's not a lot of Tamils that are out there to even Tamils don't know this, you know,
Yeah.
because we've also been, since the war and everything, we're conditioned differently, you know. Our history only goes back like 40 years, and we just know ourselves as people that started a war and lost, you know. But thousands of years before that, when there's Siddhas, you know, who brought, like, a lot of them brought martial arts to the West. Like even Zen concept is introduced to Japan
Yeah.
through a Tamil yogi, right? And they all drifted that way to the Himalayas and crossed over because they were being killed, you know, and dragged out and killed, and their scriptures were like burnt and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They were writing on leaves. And so if
great.
there's connection between Ethiopia and Tamils in the south, because
Yeah.
there's no one. In fact, I watched Exterminate or Roots.
Uh-huh.
Have you seen that?
No.
I watched it, and then they had like the picture of like migration from Africa, and then down across. Have you seen it?
I've seen it.
Yeah, so they had it across like Iran. You go down to Indus Valley, right, and down to India, but it doesn't make sense, that map, because then I feel like it came from the south, you know, where there was like Ethiopia, Somalia area, then there's the Tamils, and then if you went up,
Yeah.
and then you mixed with Iranians, then you would get the sort of light-skinned Indian people in the North India, you know. But Tamils are like dark-skinned.
Yeah.
And So it just misses that bit out on the map of how it traveled. So I was like, oh, even like if you're, you know, I think he's Haitian. I'm not sure, like he's from Brooklyn. But even when addressing that, people still don't know how to connect the journey, because Indians through history never wanted to give Tamils that sort of recognition because they're national, like the government's in the north and the national language is in the north and the Bollywood is in the north, and you know the people in the south don't get any recognition, but actually the people in the south have been there longer, you know, and have contributed more things.
It's crazy.
And
what I love is like you're highlighting exactly that, you know, we can be fun having, like we're on autopilot in a way. Like we're here, we make music, we make whatever, we make images, we make graphic t-shirts, whatever. But it's all linked. Everything is like super, super linked to histories, linguistics, and the whole concept of being, you know.
Yeah, we can talk about fashion. We can be cool, but it's nice to
Rooted.
It's rooted, but it's also like it's conversations that need to happen now, and that we should be free to have them. You know, I don't understand like why we like the internet is supposed to bring you knowledge and.
Yeah, but it's
This sort
It
of.
brings you drama instead.
It brings you drama, yeah.
And some fun.
and some fun. But man, this has been like a stellar conversation, which I love it because it seems like an intro. This is all like
To Virgil's podcast on Spotify.
no, with
Gmail.
M.I.A. No, this is like I like this level of thought because I'm gonna challenge us to work on something together. You know, I don't like doing these as much as I prod people. I don't like doing these and this have to be the end. Like I want to make more important culture moves. I want them to be embedded by knowledge, real history.
Yeah, well, then the wand would be about that. It would be about destroying ignorance that, you know, if we are not using our full brain capacity,
There you go.
yeah, then as humans, what are we if we used 100% of our capacity, you know,
Bingo.
then we'd be that thing.
We did it. We just brought a whole conversation full circle because I couldn't even answer the wand question.
Well,
And
you still didn't answer you still didn't. We heard her answer, heard his answer. We didn't hear your answer.
no, that's what the full
He
circle.
said- No, you still have to answer it. 'Cause you said you have to answer
No,
this question.
shit. That's not how this is supposed to work. I'm like an impromptu host. I'm not like a real host.
Yeah, no,
of the
but
fake
it'd be nice to hear. It'd be nice to hear what you.
Oh, I guess. Like, but I'm gonna piggyback. But my answer is already gonna be like just a magic wand that open people's minds. I wouldn't sway left or right, but I think my common trait is that I see how fast so many different minds close. So with that, that's the end. Peace.
Imaginary radio station. Care of